Hello, everyone, and welcome to Big Cat Sports. This is our weekly Tigers review today. Overall, not actually that bad of a week. Had a winning record this week for once in a while. They went 4-3. They took care of business against the Twins, winning 3 out of the 4 games, which is pretty good. They shut down the Twins' offense for 2 of them, shutting them out 2 of the games.
Mhm.
So that was good. But they did lose their series in Boston. They did play well, though, specifically this week. Torkelson, he did real well, and Gary Carpenter did real well.
Yep, it seems like they're being consistent. I mean that they are what they are, and the players that you're counting on are kind of coming through. Um, you don't see much. The consistency is better. Torkelson looks better, um, but they're still what they are,
Yeah.
and I can't see them really gaining any ground. Um, barring a miracle or something, they're never going to be able to string together the number of wins they need to, and it's getting too late in the season for it.
Yeah.
So we're just enjoying watching them and how they're progressing and seeing who might stick with this team for next year and where they can spend their money to improve this team. I'm really pleased with the pitching staff for the most part.
Yeah. I mean, you could try to bring back Lorenzen next year,
And
who threw a no
um,
hitter
right,
for this week after
I'm
we
happy
traded
for
him.
him.
So that was pretty good.
Um, I don't know if the Phillies are going to do much, but we'll see.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to honestly see what coming up with this week. It is probably I would consider if they are still trying to get to the playoffs, which there is a chance. Last I saw an article that said they still have 1.8% chance of probably making the playoffs, which of course is the division,
I don't really think
not the
about
wild
that.
card.
I'm just saying, can you put together
Well, yeah.
10 wins? You'd have to go 10-0 or something. You'd have to go on a big major
Well, this would
streak
be the week you want to do that
to. And well, that's what has to
because
happen for
you're
them to
playing.
get back into it, and so far they have not been
Yeah,
able to.
you're playing both the Twins and Guardians this week. 2 games against the Twins in Minnesota, and then 4 games in Cleveland. If somehow you even sweep this week, that makes ground. But I
You'd
expect you
have
to.
to. I mean, you'd have to get back in this
Yes,
at
you
all.
do. You are
And I just
still
don't think they're capable of it.
you're 8 games back. So if you swept them this week, you probably could gain half of those games if you somehow won every game this week. I would expect you probably to be more 4 games back, maybe 3, depending on exactly what happens with Minnesota. Minnesota, after their hot start out of the trade deadline and into the month of August, has kind of slowed down. They're only 4 games above 500 now. We are still 8 games under 500. Oh, my bad. 12 games under 500.
Right.
12
I'd
games.
like to see us, if all they did was come close to 500, that to see how close they can come to 500. I think it's maybe unrealistic to expect them to play 8 games above 500 the rest of the way, so they finish that way. I mean, that would be a huge accomplishment.
I'm thinking 70 wins is a possibility for where they can end at, and that's good. That's at least kept you somewhat invested for most of the year,
Right.
and hopefully going into next year, giving yourself a chance. Being 8 games back of the division mid-August and still technically having a chance because the division's that bad, kind of just adds to wanting to watch the games a little bit more, which is good
Right.
in
And
that
it has
sense.
been said they've gotten us to the point that most sports fans want. They've gotten us to the beginning of the football season. So, um,
Let that be the preseason, but we got the
well,
football.
it is preseason, yeah, but it's something.
They probably could still get us into September with
Yeah,
these
who
decent
knows?
baseball before stuff happens. I know Baez was out today against Boston. I think I heard he was on bereavement. So they called up Diaz, who had his first couple of bats and didn't do that fantastic from what I saw. But like I said, Torkelson this week, I think he had at least 5 homers this week from what I saw.
He has
And same
played.
thing with Carpenter. He was hitting home
People.
runs.
He's the subject of another video we will be doing, but he's becoming quickly one of my favorite players. I really like Torkelson. I like the progression. It may not be as fast as people want for number one overall, but he's
Torkels,
coming along, and I like him in the field. I think he's going to be a hell of a first baseman. Um, in a couple of years. I mean, he already is good. But I think he will develop into that player that we expected. It may take a couple more years, but he is getting better and better and better. Um,
Yeah.
and with him and
The
Green, I think that's going to be a great duo for many years. They just got not like I said, they're going to have some money to spend this year. Um, it's tough. The bias situation. We need to find a way to maybe just cut him loose.
it's either
I don't know what else to say because he's hurting the team. If the guy cannot figure out, how to, it seems like I'm not even sure he has any
so
desire to fix the problem with him.
he's always been a more of a defensive player with offensive upside because he has always chased pitches. You can look back to even when he was with the Cubs. He has never had good plate discipline.
Well,
he has the pop in his bat. He has the power. He has the ability to be a very good offensive player.
Yeah,
The problem is he has no plate discipline, and he will swing at anything.
And why? And they knew that when they signed him. That's the problem that I have. It's like it's not his fault he signed for what he signed for, but you know, it's ridiculous watching him swing at some of those pitches. Sometimes you're just like, what the hell?
And that
Um,
and
and
that,
if he could only just improve that, but he doesn't seem to have any desire to. So
yeah,
he is what he is, and that's what you're going to get for the next 3 or 4 years.
Yep.
We got him under
And like I
contract.
said, if he all of a
And we
sudden
can't afford that. We can't afford
if
to
he
keep
comes
him on
out
the
of that
team.
shell and he gets at least a little bit better at his plate discipline, he could be a very, very good offensive player. He already has the capabilities of being that player. It's just working on that discipline, and hopefully that happens. Can't count on it though with how he's been. But going back to Torkelson, is leading the team after this week in almost every offensive category except for batting average.
Well, let's stay off him because we're going to have him on another video. We'll just
With
move
that
on
being
to that.
said, though, right, Green is basically leading the team, even though he's not fully leading it because of his injury, the amount of games worth that he was gone. He's batting a 307.
I do right. I mean, you're going to keep those two. Are you keeping McKinstry?
I don't see a problem with you keeping McKinstry. I would try to keep McKinstry and Veerle.
Are you keeping Carpenter?
He's one of your rookies.
I know.
So you keep.
I mean, like I said, who are the 5 or 6 guys that are going to be on this team
next year? You expect to see
those 4.
You're going to expect to see Torkelson. You're going to expect to see Green. I think the positions you're going to see switch. You might get a different corner outfielder. You might have a different catching duo. I do not know if Haas will still be here. I like Haas. He has a versatility of playing outfield and catcher. But Rogers really came out, especially in the past couple weeks, I would say, with his offense. And has shown he has the capability.
Jake Rogers is another guy you're just going to have some patience with, and he might develop into a very good catcher. I mean, defensively, he's kind of already there, but I mean, it's got to happen within the next couple of years. I mean, he's got to make that jump to where he's more consistent. But he has gotten the opportunity this year and he's finally showing that he belongs up here.
Yeah. The players that you are not going to have to worry about next year probably are going to be 100% Austin Meadows. His contract is up and they will not be re-signing him. Regardless of his anxiety, they are not going to probably give him another chance. In his place might be his brother that we have in our system that is an outfielder.
Right.
Who has been doing really, really good in the minors.
Yeah.
He might have a chance.
I don't think is going to be on this team next year.
He's one that is iffy. He hasn't done terrible, but he also hasn't done great. He's been very average to a little bit below average. Right. Offensively, he made an error today in Boston.
What do you think of Zach Short?
Zach Short, I don't have a problem if he stays because he's also been pretty decent. But out of all you're going to have to probably lose one of your 3 utility guys. So you're going to have to pick one between McKinstry, Veerling, and Short because they have always been your.
Do you think they're going to make one really big signing in the offseason?
I honestly don't think they will. I don't think they're going to do anything major only because their offensive side has shown a positive this year, in my opinion. For the most part, they've had the ability. You are needing. I could see they might do a bigger signing on the pitching side of things, but from who is out there, I don't really see anybody who I would take the risk on this year. Besides
So the
maybe
hope is that
Otani.
these guys are just going to improve internally
I would say
with
for
the
next
players like
year.
that and just get better. The Carpenters, the Green. Well, yeah, they should. I mean, Green and Torkelson, I expect to be better.
So your
Um,
outfield should be pretty set. If you're gonna if you get rid of Badu, you're gonna have McKinstry and Verling, who are both outfielders, right? You are set because you don't need Badu. McKinstry
and,
and Verling have both played better than Badu.
and are there any prospects that you
You're
see coming up?
I don't know if they'll bring them up right away because we don't have any. I see catcher as a possibility depending on what happens, but also that'd be a backup role if they got rid of Haas, which again I don't think that might not happen because of how he's been playing. Um, your only opening I think is in the infield, and I don't remember if Keith is an infielder or not.
Hmm.
And that's the only thing. There's possibilities. We'll get more into that in another
It'll be
video.
interesting.
But there's definitely going to be some interesting stuff happening.
It's hard.
This year.
I like the Tigers, but they can't. They don't have that whatever that is they need to string together big winning streaks. They're always going to be puttering along, winning. Going 4-3, 5, maybe 5-3, maybe something like that. But that's about the best they can do. Most of the time, they might be 3-4 or 2-5. Going into a week. They got to string together some wins in order to get over that hump.
Yeah,
they ain't gonna be this year. I don't.
No, it would be pretty lucky if they did this year. But at least they're excited.
Okay.
But with all that being said, right, if you like the video, right, like, comment, subscribe, do all that fun stuff, right, share the video, and until next time, hope to see everybody soon.